What's up everyone, Kriddle here, back again with some more Diablo 4. Today we're going to be looking at the Sorcerer as I give you my thoughts on the class. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to build the class for maximum carnage, but rather the things I look for as a 42-year-old dad gamer. This doesn't mean if you aren't 42 and a dad, this video isn't for you, but if you are, then you better listen up and take notes, because I know how forgetful you are. Feel free to pause this video at any time and come back after you stop your child from drawing on the wall with mom's makeup. So, back to the things I look for when playing an ARPG. That's action role-playing game for the older audience. Number 1, is it fun? Because if not, why am I playing it? As for Sorcerer, my answer is yes. I had a great time playing the Sorcerer, blasting enemies into oblivion, then moving on to the next pack, all the while looking for that sweet, sweet loot. 10 out of 10 would play again, and in fact, this is the class I plan to start with when Diablo 4 releases. Number 2, was the class easy to understand? Look, I'm all for playing a game on hard mode and trying my hand at all the challenges, but if the class makes no sense and I need a doctorate in mathematics to understand it, I'll pass. Refer back to number 1. Yes, the Sorcerer is fairly easy to understand. First, choose a basic attack. This is a mana-free, always ready to be activated ability. Pretty much you hit this ability when you can't press anything else. These skills come in 3 varieties, fire, lightning, and cold, and are all range attacks. Unless you're feeling frisky, then choose Arc Lash for a lightning melee build. I personally chose fire for this video because I found blasting and burning everything to be the most satisfying way to destroy my enemies. Arc Lash was a second favorite when I really wanted to stun my enemy. Whichever ability you choose here, I recommend enhancing it and upgrading it fully, as you'll be using it a lot. Next, you choose a core ability. This is what you'll be spending that hard-earned mana on. Think of this ability as your children and your mana as your patience. I recommend stopping at one and evaluating if you can handle a second one before taking on the task. For me personally, I like Fireball the most, but Chain Lightning had its place. For this build, I chose Fireball. Again, it was the most satisfying for me and synergized with my Firebolt. Synergizing your abilities is key to making any class in Diablo 4 work. As with basic attack, enhancing this ability is highly recommended, so be sure to grab those as soon as you can. Next up, we have defensive abilities. Now, people that know me will say, Kriddle using defensive abilities? Nah. But no, it's true, these abilities do help. For me, I chose Ice Armor. Yeah, I know it doesn't synergize with fire, but it does help keep me cool when things get hot, and boy do they get hot with this build. Seriously though, Ice Armor is one of the best defensive skills in the game as it puts a barrier up that absorbs all damage, and get this, the more damage you do, the bigger the barrier. As with the previous abilities, I recommend getting the enhancement as it helps you regen mana, aka your sanity, faster. Someone has to deal with those kids, am I right? As for its other 2 upgrades, I felt there were better uses for that skill point elsewhere, specifically in Glass Cannon, because, as I said before, the more damage you do, the bigger the barrier. As for other defensive abilities, Teleport would be my only other choice, but I didn't have an extra skill slot on my bar. That brings us to our conjurations. I personally liked all 3 of these abilities for different reasons, but ultimately chose Hydra as my main summon because it was the easiest to cast and forget. Also, synergy. I could have gone with Arc Lash or Spark along with Chain Lightning and Lightning Spear for similar results, so try them out and see which one feels best to you. The ice builds didn't seem to stack up as well in my experience, but no matter what you choose, I recommend getting 1 level of Ice Blade specifically for the enhancement and summon Ice Blade upgrade. What this does is reduces the cooldown of your other skills, which so far is just Ice Armor, but we know how important that is by now. Then comes the Mastery skills. Oh, to be a master of anything. I can't even run my own home, let alone master of the elements. I don't recommend any of these abilities. If you must have one of these, then maybe Blizzard or Meteor, but due to limited skill slots, I had a much better idea in mind. Ultimate abilities. These abilities were, for the most part, very lackluster. Inferno looked really cool though, so put a point in it and check it out, then remove it and move on. I do, however, recommend Deep Freeze. Oh no, another defensive ability? Yes, and that's because you'll already be doing plenty of damage with Fireball, Hydra, and burn damage that sometimes it's best to just freeze a moment and take it all in. Usually by the end of Freeze, you can just walk around and collect your hard-earned loot, but at the very least, you've given yourself a much-needed respite. Also, because of Ice Blades and its upgrades, this will be ready to cast quite often. And that brings us to number 3. Seriously, did you have fun? Yes. Yes, I did. As for gear, I didn't look for anything specific so long as it worked with my build. Any skills that increased my primary damaging abilities such as Hydra and Fireball were an easy choice. Also, anything that increased fire or damage over time was a big plus. Lastly, make sure you have at least 1 life on kill item as it helps keep you topped off when your barrier goes down. Anyway, I'm Kriddle and that's the Sorcerer. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, please blast that like button and sub for more content. Thanks for watching. Bye!